Hey, it's Janet Johnson with Social Media Hangout Time. I'm here with Kimmy, our social media puppet, as the
Hi,
salon owner.
everybody. Hello.
And we have a guest today that is from our state, our hometown here in Minneapolis, Tim Lewis. So welcome, Tim.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming on. I want to first give a brief background of where Tim comes from and share with the audience what we're going to talk about today. Tim is Tim Lewis is the owner of Master Communications Group, and that's a video and interactive web production studio in New Hope. So you're a little ways away from me. I'm down in Farmington, but definitely still the Minneapolis market. Tim and his team are visual storytellers that create compelling videos and interactive media for agencies, marketers, trainers, publishers, corporate communications, and business owners. They create marketing videos, explainer videos, promotional videos, meeting and event videos, training videos, and interactive modules. Pretty much videos for anything. So what do you think we're going to talk about today? Obviously, video. So welcome, Tim. Tell me, let's start by backing up. How did you get into this world of video?
Oh well, actually, I was a Navy journalist, and when I was going to go into thinking about going to the Navy, they give you a big test. It's like the SAT, only it's more vocational. And they said, well, you got this journalist thing, and not many people get that. And I was sort of, this 19-year-old. I was like, well, what do they do? And they said, well, they get to run around with video cameras. That looks really fun. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to run around with video camera and tell stories. So I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, and it must have been a lot different. You've probably seen a major change in how video has come around and how much simpler it is to create video. We can even talk about that a little bit.
We could, yeah, absolutely. And back then you had to carry around a big backpack with a big giant heavy machine that had your tapes that were this big that recorded the media, and then your camera was this separate thing, and it was connected by this 6-foot cord, and everything was just a big hassle. And now everyone carries around a better camera in their pocket,
Uh-huh.
and that camera, the quality of the picture is better on your phone now than it was back then. So that's just one. Of course, all the editing has changed too. It's all nonlinear. It was linear editing too. So yeah, it's a lot of changes, but it's great because now video has become a very important tool for marketing your business.
I agree. I completely agree. Well, before we get started with our main topic, I would like to have Kimmy ask you a question. She always likes to ask a fun little question at the beginning.
Okay.
I love to ask this one. Well, Tim, have you ever been interviewed by a puppet?
I can't say as I have. No, this is a first.
I love everybody's face when I ask that question. But it's fun, and we're so glad to have you on here. And I'm going to ask you the first question, especially as it relates to social media, because
Okay.
this is one of the shows we want to know, how can somebody really stand out in a noisy crowd on social media? And I think video is one thing that's really starting to explode. Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to have video in social media?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it seems to me like, I've been doing video since before the internet, of course, and with social media is like rocket fuel for getting views of videos. Because as you both are social media experts. In social media, like-minded people are hanging out like we are right now in the same group, and we're sharing ideas right now. In social media, like-minded people are sharing content, they're sharing articles, they're sharing videos. So when a video hits that, it's like videos are so niche. They're all usually very specific audience. Like, for businesses, it's pretty difficult to get like a viral video unless you've got tons of money. You can have babies breakdancing or something. It's very difficult to have like a viral video. So that's okay though. You don't really need tons of views by random people. You really just want certain people to view your video. And so it is a very niche media. And social media allows you to get into those exact niches that you want to be in and get more views. And that's why I think social media is basically rocket fuel for video views.
So can we go into more on how would you do that? Let's get in deeper about how exactly what about the content strategy, that kind of piece of things.
Sure. Well, as you know too, in social media, when social media first came around, everybody's like, "Oh, you got to be in social media. You have to be on Facebook. You have to," and people were just sort of randomly throwing out content, right? And that was like the first 2 or 3 years of social media. It's just random stuff here, random stuff there. Well, as you experts know, eventually you got to have a strategy, and just like all marketing, you have to have a strategy and a plan if you expect it to succeed. So the whole reason for having a video content strategy is it's just a master plan for organizing your content so that it sort of times correctly with other marketing that you're doing, and basically helps you advance your marketing objectives. It applies logic to the order of the videos as they are released and published, and it also makes the production of them more efficient, because when you're shooting video, if you can shoot more video at one time, you're creating an efficiency there and saving money. It's also important, like I said, to have a strategy behind it, because that way you're able to coordinate with your other marketing efforts. Like if you had an event, for example, you're going to sponsor or even attend, you could promote it beforehand, and then you could also kind of recap it after. So that's sort of my reason of why it's important to have a video content strategy.
Could you break down how to, Kimmy, as a salon owner, break down what a sample social media video marketing strategy would be with her salon?
Sure. Well, the first step in a video content strategy is to assess if you have any existing assets. Like you might have white paper, you might have blog, you might have video that you shot or that you were in, or something like that. That's the first step, is to kind of see what already exists. Because a lot of times what we're doing in video is we might be creating a video from a PowerPoint that already exists, or we might be recreating a video that was kind of done in-house and they want to bring up the production value or something. So that first step is just, what do you have currently that is telling your story? The second step is to define your audience and what they need to know about your business, and also like barriers to why they might not work with you. Like that's sort of defining your audience. And remember, I was talking about the niches before. What is that niche? Who is that person? Like, I like to call it, sort of customer profiles. Like, profile your customer. This is a picture of exactly who our number one prospect is, and then maybe here's some secondary customer profiles. So that's the second step. The third is to develop objectives and tactics for a particular series that would speak to those audience members. So you want to look at your overall marketing plan and see if there's tactics that can be achieved with video that wouldn't be as effective with other like blog or even a web page. Video is better at visually demonstrating things. It's also better at telling an emotional story. Those are the two ways that video really is better than a blog or white paper or PDF, whatever you got.
Well, it adds that human touch. People really like to, see people nod their head and say hello and see what they're wearing for glasses. And especially in my industry, they love my pink hair.
Well, that's right.
You actually see the person.
That's exactly right. And when you see a person in video speak, you're looking at their eyes. You can tell whether they're authentic and genuine, telling the truth. Because there's so many visual cues that we give off when we speak, and video is able to convey some of that. So the whole trust thing and likability that small business owners need to be aware of when they're marketing themselves to prospects. That's where video can help.
Yes.
The fourth step of a content strategy, developing one, is to do research, and you find the top experts. Now, with a small business, it's usually one person, right? So they are the expert. So what you want to think about when, like, as a small business owner, is what are those aha moments where a customer's, you had an interface with a customer. What's that question, those common questions that the customer has for you? Can you answer those questions before they even have to ask them? And what other problems will a new customer encounter, not in doing business with you, but in the industry that you're serving? You know, a salon, I don't know, is that like hair? Is that what we're talking about? Is that...
hair coloring and haircuts. So,
Okay.
you know, could you make one long video and then use little snippets for multiple videos? So if I have an FAQ on what to wash my hair with to make it soft and without frizz, and then I have another one that's, you know, what kind of color would look best for me.
Exactly. So, and the way you're writing those titles to the videos is exactly right, because you want to write your title to your video in exactly the way the customer would have asked the question. Why?
Okay.
What kind of hair coloring? What brand of hair coloring should I use if I'm going to try and do it myself? You know, how to that kind of thing. How do I do this? Because keep in mind that YouTube is a search engine. You know, that's what people are going to type in there. How do I take a slap shot? You know, or whatever your question is. That's how they're going to ask it, and the chances of your video coming up in that search are pretty great if it's exactly what your title of your video is, right?
That's true. Very true.
Yes. And how often would you say to do videos on YouTube or put out these videos with a strategy?
Well, it depends on, you know, your budget and your plan and everything, and sort of how it integrates. I mean, I don't think obviously there's other content pieces that you would want as part of your social media plan, and if it can support them, then that's how often. I mean, I would think that, I mean, we put out videos all the time, but that's what we do. But I would think, you can kind of start off quarterly and, go to monthly if you can and you have enough content. But the whole idea is to produce as many in one shot, so then you can just release them over the course of several months.
So you batch it. So basically batching, doing it all at once, and then you break it out and have it kind of almost like we do these shows where we record more at once and then we spread it out throughout the weeks. Is that
right? Spread out the publishing of it, exactly.
Publishing. Okay.
The other thing I would stress when you're thinking about your content strategy is to do research. Look what people are searching if you can. You know what I mean, in your area of expertise. So you can never do enough research into what questions people are asking and, the answers they need. And don't be afraid of sort of telling them, everything. How do you come up with your cost? How do you, maybe there's some things you want to keep secret, but in general, most businesses, you put the more information out there, the more likely you are going to be seen as an expert in the field. And the research is going to help you prioritize, and also to your previous question, how many and how often, it's going to also help drive some decisions along there, because what you want to do is you want to kind of create what's called a content pillar. So this pillar would be by the needs of the audience, and it could be a pillar that's around thought leadership. So that may not be necessarily for a salon owner, thought leadership on maybe there's a certain kind of technique you're using that you can sort of prove to your prospects that that is what you're good at, and that's the whole point of marketing, is to sort of prove or sell what you're good at, right?
Absolutely.
And sort of make that the front, the head of the spear of your marketing efforts. But anyway, then the tactics would come out of these pillars. See, and it might not be a video; it might be some white paper, or whatever the case may be.
And Tim, is YouTube really the only place that you should promote your videos, or I mean, I see sometimes there's YouTube on the website, but yet I don't want to click on there and leave the website. Are there other alternatives?
There is. I guess what I would say about YouTube is if you're looking for people to find your video, then you want it to be on YouTube because it is, owned by Google and it's the biggest search engine. So, but if it's, a lot of our clients have videos they do not want to put on YouTube because it is public, and YouTube will tell you that they own the content as soon as you upload it. So technically, they own it, even though you paid money to create it. So a lot of people don't like that. So no, there's plenty of other platforms, video platforms. There's some. They're kind of actually they're kind of in niches as well if you look at them. But there are a lot of very robust video streaming services that allow you to measure the video's effectiveness, the number of views, almost down to like the person that watched it and how long they watched it and where they clicked through. So there is, of course, you have to pay for that. That's not free. YouTube is absolutely free. So.
Do you have some tools that you can name that you can give us that even if they cost? We love tools here, so.
Absolutely. Well, Brightcove is probably the Cadillac.
What's it called?
It's called Brightcove.
Okay. Okay.
And it's like basically a private YouTube streaming service. It's very high end, very expensive. Like big corporations use it, and then they can embed their videos, and then that way they're not as you mentioned, they're not clicking off onto YouTube and then God knows where from there. Wistia is the one that I'm kind of favoring right now. It's a lot cheaper than Brightcove. There's different plans. And also whether you want to monetize it or not, that is sell the video. Which in our case, when we're talking about content marketing, we can't sell it. It's got to be free and available, right? Because we're trying to attract customers. But some clients are creating product. Like the video is the product, and they're able to monetize it through some of these through some of these video streaming services, professional streaming services.
Nice, nice. And then what about tools to, do you know of any separate tools to measure that can give you reports, that kind of thing? I mean, obviously the Google Analytics, that kind of thing could do some stuff, but are there other ones that you use? Right,
yeah, usually if you sign up for one of these services, they will have the analytics built in. Like Wistia has pretty neat heat maps, that show exactly where they clicked on and off. Like everyone stopped watching right here at minute 2, 15 seconds. That's where so you can kind of adjust your content to, like, if you know that, okay, that's right where we started doing this, let's not do that anymore, or whatever the case might be. It can sort of help you make decisions on the actual content too. But you should probably, if you're going to work with one of those platforms, look into the analytics to see that it's going to give you what you need in terms of metrics and measuring. In general, if it's a small business owner, they probably aren't at that level of analyzing and doing metrics on their videos. It's more like just get something out there that's going to work and isn't going to harm your brand. Like make sure the quality is good enough that's not going to actually do more harm than good.
That's important.
And Tim, let me ask, because I like to do video in our salon, do you have a recommendation for the types of cameras that we would want to use? Do we need a special camera? Is there pros and cons for the social media videos?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, I've got this camera that was less than $1,000 that I used to shoot my kids' hockey games and stuff, and it's very high quality. If I wanted to plug a professional microphone into it, that might be a little difficult. But usually people have the most trouble with is sound, because getting the sound, if they can't hear your video, like hear what you're saying, that's probably a big problem. So that's the thing that I mean. You can get cameras that actually can account for the lighting in the room, and they aren't, you know, that the lighting isn't as big of a deal with these. The sensitivity of the cameras is very high now. And yeah, there's a microphone built into the camera, but usually it's so far from the person that it sounds echoey in the room, and it just doesn't sound good at all. That's what
I have a tangled cord that I plug into my phone that I can put on my lapel, and
Yep.
it's really long, but it really makes a big difference.
Yep, and that's what I would recommend if you're going to do sort of a talking head video. You can go to Radio Shack and get like a $25 little clip-on lapel mic, and of course test it, of course, beforehand. But that would greatly improve your sound quality for sure.
Great.
Because with microphones, it's all about how close the sound is, the sound source is to the microphone. And if it's across the room, it's probably not going to be very easy to understand.
And then I suppose it would pick up all the paper shuffling if somebody was sitting in front of it.
That's right. That's exactly.
Yeah. And people will turn it off because of the sound. I completely agree with that. Sound is a top piece with it. Let's go into social media and kind of finish up by talking about, okay, you have this video, you have the strategy. Now you're putting the videos out there. You have it on YouTube. Now, how are we pushing it on social media, and how often? Because, is once enough? Do you do multiple times? Do you do direct YouTube? There's just a lot of pieces with pushing it out to social media.
Yep, and there's a lot of ways to do it right and wrong too. I'll back up a little bit and kind of say what I would recommend is to have a YouTube channel and sort of embellish it. And as you know, YouTube is just another social media channel.
Yes.
And then you can do all kinds of things with graphics, and you can have like a homepage video. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make with video embedding or setting it up on YouTube is they don't put a description. They just put like the name of the file or nothing in the description. So the description of your YouTube, the title of the YouTube video is critical. That's what the first thing someone's going to see. And then the description is critical because the search engine doesn't know what your video is about. So you have to describe the video in the description. And actually the first thing in the description should be your website. If you're trying to get people to your website, if that's part of your strategy, that's the first thing that should be in your YouTube video description. There's also a lot that you can do with YouTube now with captions. Captions are also search engine optimized terms and search terms. It will do like an automatic one, but I think it does a really lousy job. It's like automated, kind of thing. You can do official captions that you can embed in there. So there's captions, there's annotations. You can put clickable hot links right in the video, like at a certain time. But the main thing I would say is just it's really important to get the title right. Like a lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually put the business name, the city they're in, and the phone number right in the title. So that's all in the title of the video. It's in the description too, and then all the keywords are in the description. Now YouTube says that they don't like when you keyword stuff the description, but we've seen people doing it and nothing happened to them.
Yes.
So not that you need to keyword stuff, but make an accurate description that is going to be relevant for the search engine and the humans that are reading it.
Right.
And then what about putting it onto Facebook? We could talk a little bit about the new changes that just happened last week with the difference between, obviously we want to get, if we're using YouTube channel, we really want to get the views to our YouTube channel. So it's kind of a bummer what Facebook pulled now, but of course they did because it's Facebook and Google. So can you talk about what the difference that this change and the difference between putting your YouTube onto Facebook versus uploading direct?
Yep, and it used to be that I would always recommend people to have it on your YouTube channel and then embed it in Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter from your YouTube channel. But it seems to me like Facebook is really trying to get is trying to improve their video embed quite a bit, and I think isn't not, you might actually know more about this than I do. Did they change it to where you have to embed it through Facebook now?
It's just that it's giving it more, it's going to show up more often. It gives it more reach if it's directly uploaded to Facebook.
To Facebook.
So they're kind of basically, they didn't say the word, but they're kind of basically saying.
They're preferring it.
Exactly.
So maybe you do both. You know, maybe you do put it on maybe you do upload it to, because it's the same MP4 file. Well, they all require kind of the same standards as far as MP4, you know, the highest quality MP4. If it's not MP4, it's probably going to transcode it on the way up, and it might affect the quality negatively. But yeah, so I always recommend you have it on YouTube, and then with YouTube, of course, you've got the embed code. When you click the share button on YouTube, you can either link. There's a link that highlights, or you can embed, which is a bunch of gobbledygook code that those of us in social media and whatnot know that that's an embed code, and then you can embed it in another page or in your social media. Usually you can just do a link, like on Facebook I'll just do the link and that's enough, but if you want to actually embed it in a website, then you need that embed code, and it's freely available to anybody on just about any YouTube video as long as it's public. You can embed somebody's video. The other thing I see people do a lot with video and social media is you can actually turn off all those other videos that come up at the end that might have content that is not appropriate for your business, or maybe even your competitor.
Not relevant. Yeah.
Not relevant. You can actually turn that off. So
Nice.
It's in there. It's a little radio button somewhere in there, and a lot of people, when I see that come up, I'm like, well, why would you want that to come up on your website?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I see people do is they don't use the right aspect ratio and they embed it, so you'll have like a black bar like at the top and the bottom because it wasn't the aspect ratio wasn't set correctly. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, do the YouTube, maybe do the Facebook for Facebook, but you know, you're going to want it on YouTube anyway if you want people to discover it and sort of use, you know, pull inbound marketing tactics to eventually come to your website.
One of the things we always do is we always pin all our videos to Pinterest too. So that, I don't know if that's another avenue that you've used too, but I just know that the boards are, you have one specific board, and that board, it's so organized, it's great, you know, and every single video you just hit the pin it button and boom, it's over on Pinterest too. So you get the SEO power for that also.
Yep.
Yep, and I would say, you know, there's whatever other channels you're involved in. I've been really favoring Twitter myself lately because it's so much easier to kind of scan the headlines, and it just seems like in Facebook, especially on your phone, it takes up the whole, one person's post will take up your whole screen, whereas in Twitter there's always like 6 or 7. You can just keep scrolling through until you see something.
That might be changing soon though with the whole, you know, now they're allowing pictures and having the Twitter card, so, you know, that's going to hog more space on your phone. So it might be looking like Facebook soon, I have the feeling.
Yeah, that's could be true.
Tim, you know, let's talk about small business. Sometimes they just don't have a lot of time to do a lot of video.
Mm-hmm.
So how could they reach you to get a jump start so that you could help them create videos and stories for their business and maybe even have a couple of them? Where can they contact you?
Well, the best place would be to start would just be our website. It's got all our contact info, and they can see samples and whatnot, and that's on the screen below here, right there.
Next.com.
And we're always willing to, you know, we don't charge for consultation on just, you know, kind of just talking about a project. We don't charge for any of that. So always willing to talk to people about video and what they want to do with it. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, I helped a company set up their so that they could do videos themselves, and you know, it didn't make sense for us to get involved in helping them produce their videos, but I can at least help them increase their quality of the ones that they're doing.
That's
So,
excellent.
you know, that I just said, when you're ready to do a real video, just let me know.
But that's
Nice.
very helpful because personally, I've seen your videos, like event videos, when we had a big business expo. You're telling the story, and professional videos look wonderful. And I think it really is important to have that at some point in your businesses. So I just want to thank you so much. There's tons of notes that I took here, lots of value, and I really encourage business owners, myself included, to do a lot more video.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, great information. Let's finish up with one question. I just want you to give one action step to our audience also. We always like to end with, what is something they could do in the next 24 hours that could possibly, push that video social media campaign?
If I was a small business owner, I wanted to like stick my toe in to video and social media, I would take my phone and interview my best client. Just
Ooh, that's a good
very
one.
quickly, a little testimonial. You know, that's the quickest, easiest way to do it. Just try to be in a quiet area and try to just get them talking about your business.
Perfect. Very simple. Yeah.
That's what I would say is the quickest, easiest way to get to kind of step your toe in.
Cool. That's, well, very simple. So that's the action step to take in the next 24 hours. Grab your phone. Remember the sound. We did discuss the sound. So remember, if you can have an outside mic, that would be beneficial too. So I appreciate, Tim, you gave us tons of information today on YouTube and videos and all that kind of stuff. So really appreciate your time, Tim, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Bye.